Sup, Nerdmigos, I'm the Jive Talking Nerd, John Norgrove. We've got Wife here, and we are back at it, but this time for horror Jive. It's been a while, but it's also Spooktober, Halloween, scary month, whatever you want to call it. And so for this month, we essentially only watch horror movies. Asterisk, we still watch wrestling and Star Trek. Don't worry, Trek Jive is coming out, but it'll come out like Saturday. So in a few days, because whatever, we haven't had a chance to watch it yet. So normally for horror Jives, we go over a specific horror movie, right? But as we've been watching horror movies, it has become increasingly difficult to choose one because we already have a huge list and October only started 5 days ago.
And oftentimes we watch more than one a day.
Oh, well, every time we've watched literally every day this month, except for today, because we only got home like late.
Yeah.
We had other stuff to do like this right now that's happening. So we haven't watched a horror movie, but we're going to put one on literally when we're done recording while I'm editing.
Not.
Yeah, fear not. It's going to happen anyway. But so to that end, what I've decided to do is for Horror Jive, we are going to go over rapid fire all of the movies that we watched over the last week, right? So these are normally going to come out on a Wednesday. So like you'll see one next Wednesday, and it's going to be all the movies we watched from recording this episode to next Wednesday. All the horror movies, and we're just gonna go over them. Some of these movies, almost nothing to say. Some of these movies, big talk, lot to say. But that's fine. We're gonna see how long this takes and how chaos this is, and then adjust accordingly. And if you do specifically want to deep dive on any of these movies, or if you have a suggestion for a horror movie, what's your favorite horror movie? Let us know that, and we'll watch that and we'll put it on the list. Because I'm always excited to find new horror movies. I, at least once a year, find a movie that is so good that I need more people to talk about it to, but it's like... And sometimes it's not even new. Sometimes it's like some shit from the 70s. And I'm just like, nobody's talking about this movie anywhere.
Sometimes it's just new to us.
Yeah, sometimes it's just new to us, you know? But so let's go over these and start with Sunday the 1st. We watched 4 horror movies. We started with No One Will Save You. Yeah. And it's because that's been being talked about like a bunch. Oh, also, spoiler alerts. I'm not gonna try and do this spoiler free. That's too much work.
No way.
That's too much work. So spoiler alerts for a bunch of movies. No One Can Save You is like an aliens, symbiotes, mind taken kind of energy. Yeah. But with like almost no talking parts in it.
In fact, there's literally no lines of dialogue.
No, there's like 2 or 3 lines of dialogue at the very end.
Not really, no. Like, especially if you're looking at the subtitles, there's not actually any lines of dialogue. There's like muttering, but you can't hear anybody say anything. The closest we get is there's a song at the very end and you can like hear the words to the song that's playing, but that's not any of the people that are in the movie.
I think the main chick says like one line at the very end when she sees her friend or whatever the heck, but who knows? It's like mostly no talking, almost 100% no talking, and it's really good. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But like everybody on YouTube's talking about it. So we're like, all right, we're going to watch this because everybody's talking about it. We got to see what the muss and the fuss is. I really enjoyed it. It was good. Yeah. Right.
The nice thing about it, not really like having any lines in it, is it wasn't a very quiet movie. Like literally A Quiet Place was like a very quiet movie.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of sound effects and like music scores.
There's a lot of sounds happening.
If you're gonna watch this movie, put down whatever the fuck it is you're doing, because there's a lot of context that it's just visual on screen stuff.
I mean, most of it is visual on-screen stuff.
Yeah. So, like, you're gonna have to really pay attention.
You can listen to an audiobook, but don't be doing your crafts.
Yeah. So then we watched Nightmare Alley, which was super good. It's got who's the main guy in that? He kills it too. He absolutely slays it in this movie. It's really fun. Period piece. Is it a Toro?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Guillermo del Toro. It's very fun. It's more thriller than like horror. I wouldn't consider it like straight up horror, but like I get why it falls into like thriller / horror category on whatever streaming service it was on that we watch it on. So like, yeah, very good, very fun, def recommend. After that is Shadow in the Clouds, which, so after watching Nightmare Alley, we were like, we should have a theme for what we're watching each day. And so we're like,
because
Nightmare Alley.
Why not?
Yeah, and we're like, Nightmare Alley's old-timey, so let's do another old-timey movie. So we watched Shadow in the Cloud. Shadow in the Cloud is the sneakiest movie to me because I literally never heard of it. We saw, I think we watched that on Netflix, but I don't remember. I'm not associated with any of these people. And we like were scrolling and saw it, and I was like, oh, it's like a World War II horror monster movie. It's got like bats or whatever those are, whatever they are.
Gremlins.
They call them gremlins. They look like fucking they're just big bats. They're big, maybe too smart bats.
Yeah.
They hunger for screech fruit.
They do.
Which
In
is the
fact,
best
hunger
name for
for
babies
screech
ever.
fruit. Yeah.
Thank you, whatever that book was. But so like it's kind of like a damn nearly like one set movie. It's like very stylized, beautiful camera work, great action. It's like a strong female character energy,
but without being like over the top.
The monster looks
about it.
very good in it.
Yeah, the monsters were actually done by Weta.
Yeah, they look very well. We only see one.
No.
Do we see more than one? Okay, so I get. Do we?
Yeah.
I thought it was the same one, just being all bulletproof and such.
No,
yeah, okay.
no, definitely more than one.
There are some amazing action set pieces. As an example, right? The best scene in this movie, and it's in the trailer of this movie, by the way. All right, this girl falls out of the bomber the World War II style bomber that she's in, towards a Japanese Zero that's on fire, and it blows up, and the shockwave throws her back up into the airplane she just fell the fuck out of. It's so hype. This movie was so fucking good as a creature feature. It's very much like that episode of Twilight Zone with Shatner where he's like, it's on the wing. Like it's a lot of that energy for like the first half. But it's fucking badass, dude.
Yeah. It was
and the
really
soundtrack
good.
was like fucking fire.
Yeah,
dude.
Well, and the twist was like not expected.
Yeah,
I definitely did not
see that shit coming
I don't want to spoil
whatsoever.
it. It's really nice.
Yeah, we're only doing light spoilers, gentle spoilers.
Yeah, well, on some of them.
But yeah, very, very good. Highly recommend Shadow in the Cloud. After that, because we had already seen two World War II movies, because Nightmare Alley takes place literally at the beginning of World War II, because one of the characters mentions that Charlie Chaplin-looking bloke doing sketchy shit over in Europe, and we're like, oh, they're talking about Hitler. Oh, what? Like, because we did not know what the time. I mean, we knew it was like old, but like it never really nailed it down until that.
Oh no,
moment
I definitely,
for me.
I knew exactly.
I did not get that it was like World War II old.
No,
it was just like
exactly how old it was.
Sometime around there, I was just like unsure, and then they like had that line, and I was
knew
like,
exactly
what's
how
up?
old it was. I was like, this looks like 1944 based on the women's clothing.
Sure, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. They were nice clothes. That's as far as I can.
Based on the costuming, I was like, oh, I know exactly what time period this is.
And then so we decided to stick with World War II, and for the last movie we watched Overlord, which is an absolute classic, fantastic World War II zombie movie. One of my favorite zombie movies, like of all time. It's so good, Overlord. But like everybody's seen Overlord, right? I mean, hell, I think I might have seen it in theaters more than once.
We saw it in theaters, but I don't think we saw it more than once.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I might have seen it separately for something else, maybe like a work thing or something like that. I don't know. But so that was day one. Day two, we decided to do Evil Dead the Marathon, which is Evil Dead the 2013. So the new Evil Dead was the first one we watched. It's a fantastic remake, way more horror and less camp than the original. I mean, they're both good, and I would argue that they're both equally good, but in different ways. But the 2013 Evil Dead is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend.
I know a lot of people were not really that into it, but
that doesn't make any sense. You're all wrong.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great and brutal way to update Resident Evil,
Yeah.
or not Resident Evil, sorry,
Dead.
Evil Dead to the like to the times modern horror thing. Like a lot of people poo-poo on 2010's horror, but I was really into it.
I mean, 2010's horror had some not successes.
I mean, every decade has horror movies that are not successes.
Yeah, the 2010s maybe more than most. I'm pro the complaint that 2010's horror was not great horror, but that doesn't mean that there aren't gleaming gems of fantasticness within that space. Like this movie specifically.
Yeah.
So then after that, we watched Evil Dead 2, the 1980s version.
Which is a fantastic
Which is a great movie. I was like, I want to watch the second Evil Dead. But I didn't want to watch the second Evil Dead from the new ones, even though it's good. Like, I'm not hating on it. And we've seen it. But I was like, I want to watch, like, I need Bruce Campbell in my life.
Yeah, we need
right
some,
now.
We need some
so I want to watch it. So we put that on, and God, I forgot how much I genuinely love those classic Evil Dead movies. They're so good. Bruce Campbell absolutely steals focus from just the most they're just like, what is that, a zombie over there with like a weird stretchy bloody claymation neck? Doesn't matter. Look at Bruce Campbell's face in that scene. It's more interesting. It's crazy. He's so good in that movie. And so then when we got done with that, which is an absolute classic, we watched Army of Darkness, which I've seen Army of Darkness like a billion times, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, yeah, I forgot that that's in this movie. Like, all the stuff, like, there's a bunch of little things in the movie that I just, like, forget how fucking amazing the comedy is about that thing. Like, when, like, everybody freaking out about his car, like, because it's not foreground, it's, like, background while he's talking to the head knight or whatever. And all the other knights are, like, banging his car with their swords trepidatiously. It is amazing. You know, and then, of course, they rebuild it at the end to be like the murder mobile or whatever. The like skeletons interacting with their general is a completely non-important scene, but it builds so much personality into these fucking skeleton warriors that I just don't remember, right? Because the general's like, polish that sword up. And he's like, oh yeah, Captain, of course, I'm gonna do. Like, they're just talking like people. It's crazy. Absolutely fantastic movie. Like banger, banger, banger. So that was Evil Dead energy, Army of Darkness energy, sort of a day, for the second. And then for the third, we had, the theme of the day was bugs. And in fact, the theme of the day happened to be almost entirely genetically engineered cockroaches, and then was just generic kind of bugs adjacent for the last one, because it was already quite late and we were doing other things. So we were just like, we gotta need something bug adjacent. So we decided to start with the Mimic trilogy. Mimic 2, and Mimic 3, the remimicking. I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, these movies are a very primo example of diminishing returns. The first Mimic movie is good. Is it a great movie? No. Does it make a lot of sense? But it's like a fun movie. It sets up a very twisted and weird world.
I mean,
and
it's a
also,
Guillermo del Toro,
the secret to the Mimic movie is fucking don't trust scientists with genetic research.
Also,
this lady is the worst scientist ever. She starts off real like, I got science morals, I'm not gonna cross these lines. By the 50% line of the movie, she's just like, I don't know, maybe we could try this. And you're like, dog, you're a fucking scientist. Who did this? You should have more insight into this, my guy. Like, what is up, dude?
Yeah, well,
she is bad science.
It also, these movies hit different after the Panini.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
So there's like some weirdness with that
These
too.
movies feel like, especially 2 and 3, but these movies feel like the background plot in a Star Trek bottle episode involving time travel.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a little bit weird to me that they made an entire movie out of, like, not a fully thought out plan. Yeah. Right? They're like, what if there's a disease spreading and the solution is genetically engineered cockroaches? And you're like, that could make sense, I guess. And then they're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna need $100 million. Let's make this movie, or however much this fucking movie costs. And they just made the movie. And if sometimes, especially in 2 and 3, sometimes it feels like while the movie is happening, people are making decisions about the plot just in the moment.
I mean,
Man,
that probably
Mimic
happened.
2, nowhere close to as good. Very annoying. Some of the characters, very annoying. Mimic 3, Mimic 3 sells the Mimic universe as hard as any other movie will sell zombies. Right?
Yeah.
It's not, like, they're just like, at one point in time, one of the characters is like, oh, well, you know, the male bugs can whatever, like, make as much as 10,000 eggs viable if one male bug finds a female bug. And, you know, the gestation period is like 8 weeks or whatever the heck the lines are. And he's delivering these lines, and you're just like, I'm sorry. Does everybody in New York just... And everybody's like, oh yeah, we all knew that, obviously. Like, everybody in New York just, like, actively is aware of all of the details of this sketchy bug thing. And they keep talking about, in Mimic 3, that there used to be an a living in the sewers mole people cult that's gone away. And we're just, like, searching through the remnants of it. And you're like, well, that sounds so interesting. Why would you have done after they're gone for this movie? Like, what is happening? They're such weird movies.
Yeah.
But they're fun for what they are, because they very much feel like a moment in time.
They do.
You know?
And they all, they work well watching them in succession.
Yeah.
Too, because they still try to carry the same,
they reference
feeling.
The back
they
ones.
reference each other.
The same sort of, like, they're
it's
kind
a
of
weird
like
fleshing
90s
out of the universe.
noir-y.
Yeah.
You know, in, like, style, they're sort of like 90s noir-y. So after that, we were like, all right, we need another bug movie. So we were looking at bug movies, and we found this movie, The Nest, which is from 1988's The Nest, because it looks like there's, like, maybe 5 or 8 other movies called The Nest.
Yeah.
But we watched 1988's The Nest, and this movie was not that bad, but also, surprisingly, about genetically engineered cockroaches on an island that it's trying to, like, eat people and stuff. And the main lady scientist on this, who, come to find out is the main character, is a truly bonkers character.
Monstrous, actually.
This lady
is the right word.
Makes this movie as good as it is, because she is deranged. So crazy. The scene where she has her arm in the, like, chamber, and it's getting, like, she's like, they're biting my glove. And the town mayor or whoever's standing there, and he's like, you should pull your arm out then. And she's like, oh no, they're biting it so hard. It feels so good. And she's, like, touching her body, and he's like, maybe you should pull your arm out then. And she's just like, oh no, this is so... And she's like, in this thing still getting bit up. And this dude finally has to walk over and rip her arm out, and he's, like, holding it up. Right? And it's all, like, bloody inside the, like, glove or whatever the heck that was, right? And she's like, I could feel all of their bites. And he's like, that's nuts. You're crazy. We're gonna shut it down. And she was like, don't do it. Give me 24 more hours. And he was like, good idea. And then just leaves. You're like, what? The fuck was that, dog? This town mayor is, like, in so deep that he'll do anything to, like, preserve his name, even though nobody trusts him already. And the main scientist is, like, a very concerningly written character. But the two of them combined in this movie makes this such an interesting movie.
This
it's
was
so
a
weird.
really wild movie.
It was.
With, like, a bunch of weird twists. Like, I wouldn't say that this was necessarily a
unreasonable
good movie.
Unreasonable twists, maybe more
this
accurate.
was, like, a roller coaster ride
Also,
to watch.
the cockroaches are literally just, we got a box of cockroaches, so we're just gonna, like, throw them into the scene. It's just regular cockroaches, often not doing the thing that they are clearly describing in, like, at one point in time, a guy's like, I'm getting ate by these cockroaches, and it's just like a bunch of cockroaches walking around on, like, a shirt or something.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you're not.
Also,
and he's, like, screaming bloody murder.
Full disclosure.
Oh, yeah, we found out.
Full disclosure, apparently this was, like, an incredibly sexist production that was trying to take advantage of the main female actress.
Character, not the villain.
Not the villain.
The, like, actual main character who I don't remember anything about.
One of the love interests.
Yeah, one of the love interests.
And there are also some scenes in here where the cockroaches eat an animal. So if you are somebody who
they don't actually eat an animal,
who can't handle that,
it's like implied.
This is not something you want to watch.
Yeah.
Even I was like, I don't.
It's a bit heavy-handed.
It's a bit heavy-handed.
It's a bit heavy-handed, and like the production was like a nightmare. So like low key, fuck this movie.
But this was.
We did not know any of this going in. It's a weird movie,
yeah.
and honestly, the main like the two bad guys, right? The town mayor and then the main bad guy, who's the lady scientist. They are what make the movie. The cockroaches stuff is insane. They use like a very cheesy sound effect for like cockroaches attacking in quotes, and it's just like. It's like weird and way overused. So by the end of the movie, they're like, the cockroaches, and they're like trying to fight them off, and you're like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, the lady is the thing you should be concerned about. She's doing fucking concerning science over there. Yeah. Like, ignore the roaches.
This is very much a movie of evil corporate interests.
Yeah. This, I put this on my Instagram. Also, by the way, if you want to know what movies we're going to be talking about or whatever, I list like all the movies that we watch in the day. I do a story on my Instagram, so like follow me or whatever for that. And you'll see like what movies we watched each day, and you can always like message me over there and be like, you should watch this movie today, or like you should do this theme for the day, even if you just have like a movie theme that you'd be interested in, and we'll just like do that one day. So yeah, I gave that like a 5 out of 10. It's like dead in the center. Like some of it was really good, and some of it was just bad in a grand way.
Yeah.
And then we ended with Jeepers Creepers 3 for the day, which is the better of the Jeepers Creepers movies.
That is correct. Yes.
Like, they're not great movies.
No.
But that's okay. No. And also, again, fuck those movies and fuck that producer, director.
I'm not sure.
Fuck everybody who was in charge of that who was an asshole. Whatever. I remember there being a thing about that, and somebody involved is like a real piece of shit. So, like, fuck those people. I'm not a big Jeepers Creepers fan. The third one is better, but like that's not like a rave review.
We kind of didn't really
better,
have
but
any
that's
other
not the worst.
bug movies left.
Yeah, and I mean technically it's not a bug movie. It's just that he looks like a big bug to me. So
yeah, so
that worked.
Yeah.
So then that was Wednesday the 3rd, or Tuesday the 3rd, excuse me. And so then yesterday we were like, what are we gonna do today? We want our theme to be ghosts. So we searched and we found this Thai movie called Ghost Lab, and holy shit.
Wow.
Was this movie
Yeah.
totally not what we expected. The twist, which isn't even a twist, because it's just the fucking second, third, like, act, like big event, is insane. This movie is, like, the first half of the movie is horror comedy.
Like horror
and the
comedy.
second half of the movie is, like, very insane, like psychological thriller.
Yeah, like psychological thriller. And there's still ghost stuff happening, but it's like very psychological thriller.
Yeah, this dude goes
and
crazy.
It gets really wild.
Real weird. Well, because we watch the trailer and we're like, this looks interesting, right? Like medical doctors trying to discover the real truth about ghosts or whatever. So we're watching the first half of the movie and we're just like, all right, this movie's kind of funny. And they see that first ghost. And that first ghost is fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's one of the best scary ghosts.
Yeah, all the ghosts that we see in it are like
really well
really
done.
Unsettling.
Yeah. So like we see this ghost and these guys are like, fuck this. Right? Yeah. So they decide to like do secret research into ghosts or whatever the hell that's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And they take a bunch of leaps and decide on a bad choice. Like what you call it, like if you're not, it's a little bit of self.
Yeah, there's some self-harm happening there.
There's some permanently logging off of the server self-harm that occurs at the top, at the like dead center of the movie, to proliferate the second half of the movie. It's not directly shown, but it's shocking. They were talking about it, but I did not expect it to actually happen.
Yeah.
I truly expected that to be subverted, and it fucking wasn't. And I was like, wow, okay, where is this gonna go?
Yeah,
and then it took a very dark turn. The second half of this movie is fucking dark.
The second half of this movie reminded me tonally of the movie The Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Kind of, yeah.
It was like,
totally.
it wasn't like the same thing. It's not like an Invisible Man situation, but like the darkness and the
like you don't know where it's coming from because you can't see it.
You don't know where it's coming from.
Totally.
The depravity,
totally,
you know, all the stuff that happens inside of the Hollow Man. I feel like really happens. In
also,
this
guy, bad friend.
Yeah,
you know what?
Friend.
Worst friend.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But like good ghost movie, very good ghost movie.
Yeah.
This is actually the highest rated movie. I mean, I didn't rate the like Evil Dead in like the first 2 days because I wasn't doing ratings for those. But of the last 3 days, last 2 days, this is the highest rated movie that we watched. Because this was really good. Then after this, we decided to stick with ghosts and we watched Ouija, as I like to say, because it's infuriating.
You do not say that.
I do not say that. I did say that yesterday, several times. Ouija. It's Huqwe. Ouija.
No.
So we
this,
watched...
folks, is the real nightmare.
That's fair. That's true. I'm always Halloween time. Boom.
Yeah.
So we watched Ouija, the Ouija movie, which is not a bad movie, but it's also like
it's very predictable.
Yeah.
And really, that movie is a very cookie cutter, like mid 2010s horror.
Yeah.
It is exactly what you expect it to be.
Everybody acts exactly as how you expect. Nobody, not one person, makes any rational decisions whatsoever in the movie. The movie sets up a bunch of rules literally at the very beginning of the movie, and then fucking immediately takes those rules, crumples them up in front of your face, throws them in the bin, and then makes a different goddamn movie. And you're just like, well, but then why would you say this? Like, I understand that they didn't follow the rules, and that's why the haunt is happening. But these people who know the rules were like, but I'm not gonna do that. So nah. And then spooky stuff starts happening, and they're like, okay, listen, I know that the last time we played Ouija, demons. But what if, hear me out here, what if we did it again in the same place? And then that happens like 5 fucking times.
Yeah, they're just like, one more time, and you're like, no more times.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
More and then.
It's a very predictable movie.
However, the saving grace of this movie is it sets up a delightful world that is referenced and built upon in the second movie, which is called The Origin of Ouija, The Origin of Evil, and it's actually a prequel to the original one. It takes place in 1967. I think that this is the best of discounting the Army of Darkness Evil Deads, because classics. I think this is the best of the movies that we have watched so far this month. This movie is so good.
Okay, but hold on. Before we get into Ouija, Essence of Evil,
Origin of Evil,
Shadows of Darkness, whatever. Okay, before we get into this, I have to talk about, while I was looking up the first Ouija movie, like I was just like, I want to know facts about this. Oh, because we were looking up the Ouija board because first of all, the Ouija movies are like made by Hasbro Films or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're just like big Ouija board commercials, because Ouija is like what we commonly look at as Ouija, like the Ouija brand spirit boards, is just like a Hasbro toy creation from the 60s. But in the 67 movie, in the sequel, the board is not the original 60s version. It's the new, like, 2010s
it's like some new deluxe
2020s deluxe version or whatever,
it.
Even though the, like, planchette is not the same as anything that they've ever sold.
Well, and the board is not the same,
which is interesting. Well, it's the same as the new one, not as the classic one.
Yeah, because
right?
I've actually had and used
like an 60s
an
one.
Original printing.
Yeah. And the original one was like less fancy looking, right? But while I was looking up the facts about the Ouija boards used in this big fucking 2-movie commercial for Hasbro's branded Ouija, I stumbled upon like the Harvard like newspaper's article from like 2013 or whatever, when the first Ouija movie came out. And this article hated hated the first Ouija movie with like blood-curdling passion. It is so devastatingly hateful towards the movie. It says everything the movie does is just copying better movies. It was so mean. It was fantastic, utterly fantastic read, and I just like randomly stumbled upon it. The fact that I can find it again is probably entirely impossible. But like, it was so good. It kind of made the first movie for me that somebody loathed it so much to publish an article that was just like, don't watch this, and if you liked it, you should feel bad. like that level of like disgust and hate in that movie's voice. But Ouija 2, Essence of Evil, Inspiration of Evil.
Yeah.
Inside of Evil, whatever the heck it's called. Origins of Evil. This is a really good movie. The scares are good. The jump scares are fantastic.
The jump scares are good.
The little girl
is
a nightmare. Listen, I understand that you should not punch a small child, but this priest should have punched this girl in the face like at least 5 times in this movie. She is so flippin' creepy. Yeah. I mean, maybe one of the creepiest children ever.
This is, I think, probably the creepiest child ever in horror, because she is creepy as a regular girl, but she also like gets possessed by the spirit. So mild spoilers, obviously. This is not the big twist. She's whispering in people's ears, but she does this thing where she like, her eyes go white and her skin gets pale, and then she like whispers in people's ears.
Yeah, she's just like,
but like.
And you're just like,
and sometimes when she whispers, there's no words at all that are like audible in the movie.
Yeah, it's just whisper sounds.
It's just quiet. It's not even whisper sounds sometimes. Sometimes it's dead silent, but her mouth is moving as if she's whispering, which is even more horrifying.
Yeah. And she can just like take people's bodies. She's just like mind taking people.
Like does this thing that is like fairly common in this time frame for horror, where they like just slightly distort the face with CGI, just little bits.
I mean, this movie has pretty dramatic face distortions. It has pretty dramatic face distortions, and they're both terrifying and a little humorous. When she's like, I think easily the most like the most terrifying / humorous is when she's like the demon, it like puts his whole arm into her mouth.
Oh yeah.
And like when it's the whole like weird smoky monster demon thing with his whole arm in her mouth, you're like, damn, that is fucking dark. And then it cuts to her like CGI distended jaw, like arched over in like a ridiculous wire trick kind of energy, and you're like, that's less scary here, though.
But after that, it gets worse.
But then,
because she does creepy smiles, she does creepy screams, and we learn that there's like a dramatic dark twist for this house, but also
everybody loves a dramatic puzzle basement.
Yeah, there is very common puzzle basement. Yeah. There's like family stuff. It ties into the original movie. The first
references the original movie.
No, it directly ties in.
But
it directly ties in because the Ouija board, first of all,
it's the same Ouija board, and it's the same house.
It's the same house.
Yeah.
It's the same Ouija board. It's the same planchette. The woman in the first movie that the main character goes to go see in the mental hospital is the older sister.
Is it?
Yes. It is the older sister. They completely set that up at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we don't really, and we also get resolution of the body of the little girl that's found. So in the first movie, the like main character is like, oh, you got it. She like goes to see the lady in the mental hospital, and the lady in the mental hospital is like, you gotta find her body in the basement and like take the stitches out of the mouth so that she can speak again, and that'll like undo the problems. Yeah. And
come to find out,
and the main chick is like, dope, I'll do that.
Fake news.
So she does that, and then like more and worse deaths happen in the first movie. Even and then she goes back to the lady in the asylum and is like, this didn't work. And she's like, ha, ha. The crazy lady is like, she's old now. She's like, ha 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 ha. Now she's free. Ah! and you're just like, oh no. So when you get to the second movie,
you realize
the
prequel,
like
the why.
You realize, first of all, the why.
Yeah.
You get the little girl. You understand why why her mouth is like tied up
Sewed up
like that,
yeah.
and you understand the importance of it needing to be sewed up.
Yeah.
So this is like an incredibly creepy movie.
Yeah.
And it does setting. It's a beautiful period piece.
It looks good.
It looks
fantastic. Good looking movie.
Like
the mom is dope. I really like the actress of the mom. She's fantastic.
Is just top notch.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's got some good deaths. I can't say enough good things about Ouija.
It's a pretty good movie.
Evil.
It's a pretty good movie.
Like I really like it. I give this like a solid like 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
this is almost.
I give it like a 7.5.
Movie.
I mean, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It is almost a perfect movie.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems a bit bold. But,
no, it is almost a perfect movie.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, the priest is also awesome.
Yeah.
In this, when he's just like, you're right. My dead wife's middle name is Lynn, and then he's like, everybody that's not this fucking terrifying little girl, can we have like an adult meeting upstairs, please? And then he goes upstairs and he's like, I tricked the shit out of that little girl. Her middle name was Catherine. I was just thinking the word Lynn. Ha! We figured it out. It's a demon. And we're going to get exorcists and shit. And this little girl's just like, bad news bears. Also, easily one of my favorite scenes in that movie is when the little girl is like staring at the, what do you call it? Snow on the TV, the like fuzz on the TV, the like scrambling on the TV, and like you see the scrambling on the TV, and she's just like standing there, and then the camera like pans over, and her eyes are white, and her mouth is like jaws like distended way down here, and she's just like, and you're like, hit her in the head with a bat, none of that, like shut it down. I mean, this mom is like a little annoying because she's like, well, but maybe it's not that big of a deal, and the older daughter's like, I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Look at this kid. And the mom's just like,
daughter. It's because the mom wants to use the creepy daughter to prop up her seance business.
Bad mom energy. But other than that, fucking good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good movie.
Fantastic.
Real good movie.
Almost
but
perfect.
yeah, so those were the first 4 days of horror movies. This has gone on way longer than I expected it to, but I don't know why I even try. At this point in time, not to have it go on for super long. But,
he said it was going to be 3 minutes per movie, y'all.
Well, I didn't expect us to have such bold opinions. I don't know what's happening. Dude, I don't know how time works. Come on, it's all make-believe. I don't know none of this. My watch is a fake watch, too, so it doesn't even matter. These glasses aren't even real.
They're not. I just...
But, yeah, so those are those. I don't know what we're going to watch when we're done with this, but we are going to watch something. And if you've got some horror movie suggestions, comment them below. Let us know what you thought of any of the movies that we talked about and all of those movies. If you have horror movie suggestions, let us know what your favorite horror movie is or what you would love to hear our opinions on, even if it's ridiculous. And stay tuned for another one of these next Wednesday. And with that, I have been John Norgrove. This has been Wife. This has been Horror Jive. I literally almost said Trek Jive, so you're welcome with that. But this has
That's all right. I was ready to do the podcast.
This has been stay witchy. This has been Horror Jive. Don't forget to like this video, comment below, share this, subscribe, do all those kind of things, and we will catch you guys next time for more spooky season moving picture things. So that's gonna be gangster, guys. Stay scary or something. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, so whatever.